What happens when things converge? When faith meets science, peace meets profit, tradition meets innovation. It creates something unique. It creates a place like this, full of energy, full of beauty, goodness, and truth. It creates us, the University of San Diego.
Good morning. Good morning, trustees, honored guests, members of the faculty, colleagues, and our distinguished graduates. I am Dr. Gail F. Baker, Vice President and Provost, and I am delighted to welcome you to the 62nd graduate commencement at the University of San Diego. Before we begin the ceremony, I'd like to remind everyone of our protocols to practice safe social distancing. Please keep your mask on for the entire ceremony. And in order to maintain a low-density model on campus, we ask that you and your guests please depart the campus following the end of the ceremony. And now the ceremony is officially convened. Please stand for members of the ROTC Color Guard presentation and the singing of the national anthem. The national anthem will be performed by Soledad Parra, member of the class of 2023. Please remain standing for the invocation and the exiting of the Color Guard. The invocation will be given by Dr. Michael Levesque Collier, Assistant Vice President and Director of University Ministry.
Halt. Order. Arms. Ready. Cut. RF. Peace. Freeze it. Arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ready. Cut. Right. Face. Right shoulder. Arms. Ready. Cut. Forward. March. Left. 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 Left.
Let us pray. Source of all beauty, goodness, and truth, on this extraordinary day, we pause to say thank you. Thank you for bringing us through the difficulty of these past 15 months to finally arrive at this beautiful day of celebration. Thank you for all the truths we discovered during the course of our studies at USD, especially the truth of our incredible resilience and the reality of your abiding, abundant love. Thank you for all the sacrifices of those who have made the accomplishments we celebrate this weekend possible. May the parents, friends, and family members of our graduates share fully in the joy of this very special day. Thank you for the outstanding work of our faculty, administrators, and staff. Grant them much-deserved rest during the coming summer months, and renew them for their critical work of preparing leaders dedicated to addressing humanity's urgent challenges. Thank you for the many gifts and the incredible talents of those who will receive their diplomas today. Inspire them to use the privilege of their education to reconcile, comfort, and heal, to make peace and promote justice, to solve challenging problems, to build a better future, and to exercise wise, socially just leadership. Fill them with a sense of confidence as they move forward to find jobs, pursue careers, follow callings, build communities, and to be the change that our world so desperately needs. Loving God, in the midst of this celebration, keep us mindful of those struggling still because of the pandemic, as well as all those who lack what we sometimes take for granted: the opportunities provided by education, the love and support of family and community, the nourishment of food and shelter. May all of us gathered here today remember that those to whom much is given, much is expected. With a keen spirit of hope, we pray that all of this in your many holy names. Amen.
Thank you, Michael. Please be seated. It is my great pleasure to invite the President of the University of San Diego, Dr. James T. Harris III, to offer his remarks. President Harris.
Thank you, Dr. Baker, and good morning, everyone. Let me begin by congratulating our graduates and your family and loved ones who are here with you today. As we all know, this last year has been unlike any before it, and whether you were enrolled in graduate school or whether you were a loved one of a member of our graduating class, you've endured much, and we've worked hard, all of us, to be here today. So we deserve a day like today. And earlier you heard a comment about the privilege of education. Just keep in mind that less than 3% of the world's population possesses what you're going to possess today, a graduate degree. So we have something to celebrate, something wonderful, and as is found in the Old Testament and Psalms, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. As graduate students at USD, you've learned a great deal about change making a positive change in the world, being someone who makes a difference. And I hope you will continue to follow in your postgraduate life the changemaker journey and follow Gandhi's advice to become the change you seek in the world. As you move in that path, I'd like to leave you with just 3 thoughts today. One, about your role as a leader. Secondly, about the generation that you're part of. And third, as an individual, how to keep your perspective. Early in my career, I had the good fortune of working with now the late Senator Harris Wofford. He was the president of the Corporation for National Service at the time that I worked with him. If you don't know him, he's worthy of looking up. He's a remarkable man, deeply engaged in the civil rights movements of the 1950s and 60s. He's credited with being the individual who introduced Dr. Martin Luther King to President Kennedy. I remember a conversation when we were together, and I was always pursuing and trying to find out more about who Dr. King was and what it was like to travel and be with him. And while we all think of Dr. King as perhaps the greatest orator of the 20th century, if not of all time, what Harris Wofford thought made Dr. King different and great was, and truly great leader, was his ability to listen and to reflect on something he had heard or learned about the day before, and then he would pray before acting. Harris watched Dr. King take the time to consider the opinions of others. He would even listen to those who sought to oppress him, those who wanted to keep the status quo and relegate Black Americans to second-class citizenship. So if Dr. King could sit and listen to his enemies and remain peaceful in his actions against his oppressors, why is it so difficult for us today to take the time to truly listen to someone who holds a different view than we do? Too often there is a bias in our society to be action-oriented, to move quickly, and to think that prayer and reflection that may change your mind or give you a different perspective are a waste of time. To Dr. King, however, praying or taking the time to truly contemplate something was never a waste of time. It was the first step to making a better decision. He firmly believed what many preachers have said over the years, that prayer needs to be your first line of defense, not your last resort. In a noisy world full of distractions, talking heads, angry tweets, if we wish to serve humanity, it would behoove all of us to follow Dr. King's example. Take a few minutes every day to center ourselves, to pray, to meditate, or just to sit in silence. Only then will we remain the deep contemplative thinkers and the type of leaders the world needs. My second recommendation is to strive to be the next great generation. My grandparents' generation is often referred to as the greatest generation. They were born around the turn of the 20th century. They grew up with the First World War. They suffered through the first modern pandemic with the Spanish flu. They experienced the Great Depression that followed and then answered the call to fight fascism during World War II. The younger of that generation actually went on to build the greatest economy the world had ever seen, and by the end of their lives, they were fighting for civil rights and for the expansion of voting rights across the country. Their generation wasn't perfect, no generation is, but in spite of a few shortcomings, they did the best they could with what they were given. And that is the lesson of history. Every generation builds upon the generation that came before. For your generation, I'm reminded of that famous, well, it's a song, I won't do this to you and sing it today, but in the musical Hamilton, where George Washington is speaking to a young Alexander Hamilton, and he sings, "Remember, history has its eyes on you." So yes, this class of 2021, history has its eyes on you. Now it's your turn. Your generation reminds me in many ways of the greatest generation. In your life already, you've seen and experienced much. You've lived most of your lives in the 21st century, a century that began in the United States with the horrors of 9/11. We saw the United States engage in 2 wars. We suffered through the Great Recession. We had some positive and hopeful moments. For example, something that many people thought was never possible in America, with the election of the first African-American president. And in the last election, we had record-setting voting by young Americans across all parties. So that's a very positive sign. And now we find ourselves what we hope is at the end of a global pandemic. But we're also going through and continuing with a national reckoning with regard to racial injustice in our society. But the lessons for you and for all of us from the greatest generation are not about personal survival or individual gain. They are about resilience, about pulling together as a nation, and also with like-minded global citizens in other countries to sacrifice when it's necessary for the good of others. I've seen this spirit in each of you in graduate school, your willingness to address humanity's urgent challenges. I've seen some of you work with homeless. I've seen you stand up for human rights, volunteer to distribute vaccines. You worked on issues at the border. Your compassion for the least among us and the underrepresented is inspiring. So fulfill your potential. Love the world enough to engage in the urgent challenges of your time. Become the next great generation. Our world desperately needs you to do so. My final thought as you graduate is please keep your perspective. I've certainly lost mine many times during the pandemic. If we learned anything in these last 15 months is that everything changes. We cannot rely on tomorrow being the same as today. And we never know what direction life is going to take us. So take the time to enjoy the ordinary moments and celebrate, be joyful in both the big accomplishments like today, graduating with your graduate degree, but also in the small miracles that are with us every day. Many years ago, my wife and I were visiting a couple that was about 40 years our senior. We become friends with them, who lived on the west coast of Florida, Fritz and Dolores Russ. And they lived in Naples, and they took us out to dinner one night, and as we were waiting for dinner, we sat and were watching the sunset. And Fritz looked at the horizon, he looked at his watch, and he asked me, he said, "Jim, when the sun sets and you see it coming down in the sky, when the bottom of the sun hits the horizon, how long will it be before the top of the sun hits the horizon?" I didn't have a clue. I said, "Geez, Fritz, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 minutes, I have no idea." Well, he looked at it a little bit, and he said, "I think tonight it'll be 2 minutes and 35 seconds." So for the next few minutes, we sat in silence. We watched the sun set. I'm keeping time, of course, at that moment. What did it take? 2 minutes and 35 seconds. So I looked at Fritz, and I said, "Wow, I mean, you must watch a lot of sunsets, Fritz." And he looked at me, 40 years his junior, said very kindly, he said, "It seems to me, Jim, you haven't watched enough." So tonight, watch a sunset. Take time to be grateful for the little blessings in your life. Do yourself and the world a favor by taking the time to pay attention, to be silent, and let the world unfold. Graduating class of 2021, have the courage to remain contemplative thinkers. Become the next great generation. Never lose your perspective. Your life will be more fulfilling, and the entire world will be better for it. And by the way, tonight I'm predicting 2 minutes and 51 seconds. God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. Harris, for your inspiring words and your leadership. The University of San Diego will now proceed with the official conferral of degrees. Degrees will be conferred by the deans and by me for the following schools: the College of Arts and Sciences, the Hahn School of Nursing and Health Science, the Joan B. Kroc School of Peace Studies, the School of Business, and the Shiley Marcos School of Engineering. Dean Noel Norton, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, will now confer degrees for the college. Dr. Norton.
Will the candidates for the master's degree, College of Arts and Sciences, please rise? You have completed the requirements for the master's degree. The trustees of the University of San Diego, on the recommendation of the university faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in them, hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Masters of Fine Arts, Master of Arts, or Masters of Science, with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. Please be seated.
Dr. Jane Georges, Dean of the Hahn School of Nursing and Health Science, will now confer the degrees for the school. Dean Georges.
Will the candidates for the doctoral or master's degree in the Hahn School of Nursing and Health Sciences, nurses, please rise? You have completed the requirements for the doctoral or master's degree. The trustees of the University of San Diego, on the recommendation of the university faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in them, hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Doctor of Nursing Practice, Master of Science, or Master's Entry program into nursing. You are now nurses with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereto appertaining. Please be seated.
Dr. Patricia Marquez, Dean of the Joan B. Kroc School of Peace Studies, will now confer the degrees for the school. Dean Marquez.
Will the candidates for the master's degree in the Joan B. Kroc School of Peace Studies please rise? You have completed the requirements for the master's degree. The trustees of the University of San Diego, on the recommendation of the university faculty, and by virtue of the authority vested in them, hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Arts or Master of Science, with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. Please be seated.
Thank you. Dr. Tim Keene, Dean of the School of Business, will now confer degrees for the school. Dean Keene.
Will the candidates for the master's degree, School of Business, please rise? You have completed the requirements for the master's degree. The trustees of the University of San Diego, on the recommendation of the university faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in them, hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Business Administration or Master of Science, with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. Please be seated.
Will the candidates for the master's degree, Charlie Marcos, School of Engineering, please rise? You have completed the requirements for the master's degree. The trustees of the University of San Diego, on the recommendation of the university faculty and by virtue of the authority vested in them, hereby confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Science with all of the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. Please be seated. And now, will all of the candidates for the master's and doctoral degree at the conclusion of USD Summer Sessions 2021 please rise? On the satisfactory completion of your remaining requirements during USD Summer Sessions 2021, the university will confer upon each of you the master's and doctoral degree with all the rights, privileges, and honors thereunto appertaining. Please be seated. And now, we will announce the names of our graduates. For graduates, when it is your turn, please hand your ticket to the name reader. When your name is called, proceed across the stage and pose for a picture with President Harris. Please keep your mask on. After your picture, you will continue across the stage, down the stairs, and return to your seat. In keeping with one of our special traditions, some of our graduates will be accompanied by a family member who is also a USD employee.
Kaula Abdullah Al-Muzail.
Stanley Junin Wong.
Rosalie Alston Rivers.
Matthew Warren Rosebrook.
Matthew Travis Anderson.
August Alexander Pope.
Danielle Marie Berry.
Jason Michael Downing.
Brittany Blackmond.
Ryan Matthew Lochran, cum laude.
Marta Ivana Badnoruk.
Adam Hassan Gusion.
Michaela McCarthy Bourdain.
Mark Nathaniel Shelton.
Kimberly Bernice Carricker.
Guy R. Renoncourt.
Jiujun Chen.
Aubrey Tomlin Corporandi.
William Patrick Connors.
Dr. Ascal Navarez.
Your Mary Cota.
Dr. Shalane Brooke Corbila.
Brianna Ladon Crawford.
Berhain Amin.
Dylan Andres Cuenca.
Manuel Garcia Torres Campos.
Paulina de la Garza.
Katie Lynn Robertson Phillip.
Jessica Navarre Demirjian.
Madison Lorraine Haynes.
Susan Deng.
Dr. Whitney Janine Markowitz.
Gaston Simo Eque.
Dr. Sasha Katrina Recht.
Lauren Ann Feinstein.
Sean Patrick Iresman.
Sandra Selk Flores.
Andrew Che.
Lei Gao.
James Alita.
Audrey Claire Gaikiel.
Ramon Lavalle.
Idovel Daniel Ribeiro Guides.
Joshua Michael Tahimlik.
Riley Sheridan Henning.
Tian Sun Reed.
Fangman Ho.
Dr. Caitlin Maureen Phelan.
Brittany Catton Kirk.
Zhang Liu.
Lydia Ko.
Matthew Hahn.
Magdalene Summer Kuznia.
Shivani Bhavin Patel.
Emily Christine Landauer.
Stephanie Jan Lowe.
Viet Le.
Liliana Cervillo.
Angela Catherine Leach.
Dr. Melody Crystal Aberon Sloven.
Martine Deval Lewis.
Thomas Albert Evans.
Ana Carolina Macedo Abreu.
James McKay Jackson.
Judd Keiko Mateo.
Matthew Don Neufeld.
Allison Christine Meyer.
Adrandique Michelle Mercier.
Elsa Veronica Miranda Chargoy.
Grace Ellen Collins.
Raksita Newpain.
Julie Chmelchenko.
Susanna Palafox Mansi.
Sarah Christina Garabogli.
Laura Alicia Perez.
Dr. Liliana Pittman.
Norma Alejandra Perez.
Zachary James Pidon.
Lisa Catherine Robinson.
Whitney Busby.
Alejandro Robles Zamorano.
Jenna Lynn Arguelles.
Tong Su.
Shayna Elkins.
Charisse Lynn Oi Tabu Tabu.
Brianna Nicole Greenlee.
Shushana Tavanyan.
Dr. Jean Marie Rockwell.
Elizabeth Ann Treefry.
Dr. Sandra Worthington Peppard.
Danielle Constance Vignon Dably.
Dr. Mihan Teresa Nguyen.
Terry Dwayne Vincent.
Lorella Espiritu Lutz.
Maria Elizabeth Vitali Etchen.
Jamie Pratt.
Reginald C. Whitaker, Jr.
Madison Janice Dingsdale.
Catalina M. Wong.
Clarissa Aben.
Junseub Yoon.
Diana Luz Bautista Willingham.
Aina Zawodier.
Rachel Bowen Hammersley. Kimberly Beth Woolery. Salvador Torres, Jr. Dr. Madison Lee Molotki. Dr. Gabriela Maria Miller. Janie K. Chantavong. Dr. Vanessa Tedo Otiano. Hannah Catherine Pitts. Jared Colin Gates. Megan Elise Reed. Dr. Ashley Nicole Smith. Dr. Karen Betko Swafford. Dr. Catherine Rose Likala. Dr. Shenwan Wang. Dr. Tanya Cassandra Wezo. Maria Andrea Ortiz. Francisco Ruiz Enrique. Pedro Morales Avila. Shiva Rupalvar. Georgie Rice Ryan. Veronica Gamma. Julia Hunyu Ri. Daniel Devojit Forlong. Gannon R. Condon. Richard Charles Clark. Brianna Jean Marlowe. Julia Curtis. Samantha Kaylin Coons. Desiree Marie Polino Coxon. Christy Jaco Nishamore. Linda Kwok. Dr. Stephen Glenn Pockup, Jr. Dr. Laura Ann Amabile. Dr. Connie Kiwatch. Olivia Jane Ball. Zachary David Love. Dealaine Bernard Poldido. Nicholas Victor Messler. Curtis J. Brown, Jr. Jessica Shanae King. Julie E. Morgan. Muhammad Othame Ramune. Angel Daniel Millet. Emol S. Athalwe. Dr. Jenny Marie Meyer-Huber. Dr. D. Orbiata. Santiago Vallarta Uribe. Madeline McMahon Healy. Abraham Tomas Morales. Rachel Taryn Smiley. Madeline Jeske. Elizabeth Reynolds Golden. Catherine Sunjan Giorso. Francisco Javier Romero. Melissa Josephine Beadle. Marissa Olivia Loya. Earl Cheong. Jose Patrick Tiongson. Isaac Olowa. Edgar Gomez. Luis Servando Buramun. Sophia Rose Markstein. Adorina Mary Bebla. Ashley Nicole Duarte. Nicolas Maria Ramirez. Kylie Liana Bryan. Peter Nguyen. Kira Eileen Knox. Amber Gashard. Jamel Pepe Gentry. Tiffany DeWong. Sarah Gobanian. Sophie Marinoff. Crystal Inocencio Kiag. Dr. Leslie Faye Kendrick. Michelle Catherine D'Amato. Dr. Tara Kylie Downing Hughes. Dr. Janelle Andre Rose Bird. Angel Monica Babillo. Kathy Barboza Gomez. Rakesh Nakani. Yasmin Sanabar Kahor. Kayla Michelle Timmons. Jordan Candice Lilly. Evangeline Hockney. Morgan Michelle Van Drijst. Andrea Ampero Rittinger. Carrie Genevieve Brown. Mojde Amini. Mojde Amini. Denise Vidal. Greg Kershaw. Michelle Trangesser Schoen. Rebecca E. Vellers-Jaeger. Brianna Quinn Ferris-Jackson. Tracy Lynn Depew. Aaron Michael Burt. Corey Oliver Cavaneri. Vera Reynolds Hall. Carrie Michelle Sejan Thaler. Julie E. Webb.
Kristen Taylor Carpenter. Logan Wyatt Weeks. Paige Arden Cahoon. Natalie Paige Winterburn. Sabrina Danielle Tirador. Catherine McNally. Rita Christine Cates. Jacqueline Olivares. Evan Christopher Edwards. Gabrielle Axel Ecleo Gamboa. Ryan Joseph Adames. Benjamin Sumner Bassett. Laura N. Silva. Ana Maricel Quiros. Matthew James Finley. Emma Kate Curran. Christina Elizabeth Brown. Samuel Carson Hill. Nicholas James Casaledo. Dean Ideen Raffier. Valerie Javon Bragg. Marvin Hines. Jenilyn Bannell. Scott Matthew Coles. Jason Glenn Blasius. Christopher D. Speed. Kiefer Nicholas Grindle. Rosa Kibus. Nathan Ni Ajite Okorli. Anne-Marie Malazita. Andrew Leonard Mandarino. Davida Dario Guido de Carl. Hector Margain. Alexa Kate McMahon. Eliseo Ivan Hernandez. Ashley Kristen Weiner. Giuseppe Giuliano Russo. Daniel Christopher Tellis. Carlos Fernandez Herzog. Anne Elizabeth Eldridge. Kieran Kelly Shaw. Austin Matthew Juarez. Sean Anthony Garcia. Jules Pablo Joseph Bruy Sedano. Gabriel Christopher Murray. Herman Nunez Limon. Emma Norell Patton. Emma Rose Matsko. Robert Charles Boxberger III. Charles Michael Joyce. Daniel Zhang. Janelle Schuyler Amio Seguin. Jordan Derek Charles. Javier Luna. Rafael Pedrero Ducoto Ferraz. Lena Curdy. Regina Lang Hernandez Pamintuan. Natalie Morgan Fields. Scott Thomas Omahan. Natalie Jane Navarro. Dr. Alyssa Mary Plitzich. Dr. Maria Folake Amos. Dr. Keelan Marie Mulvey. Dr. Mary Catherine Nagel. Dr. Samantha Ann Schaefer. Dr. Nicole Lorraine Brustkern. Dr. Danielle Heather Hubachek. Dr. Barbara May Rivera Madriaga. Jeremy Michael Clay. Bria de Amores. Carl Olivier Dumessel. Nicole Chris Cabaltica Quizon. Stephanie Jane Fan. Samantha Grace Leander. Jessica Jopes Martinez. Nina Naples. Renee D. Hernandez. Saima Nassim. Naima Carolina Castro. Ana Sofia Sara Cazarin. Lauren R. Lindenbaum. Danielle Louise Dykey. Patricia Grace Sylvester. Embry Ann Bosworth. Janice Adamos Quirk. Dominic Gillette. Dr. Mitchell Adrian Chang Si. Chioma Obina Nwachuku.
Dr. Julianne Michelle Hatt. Madison Ella Lambros, summa cum laude. Rosemary Gonzalez. Venezia Nicole Ramirez. Karen Paula Perez Salicido. Miguel Angel Montaño. Christopher Courtney Cruz Rangel. Lily Claire Davis. Christopher Michael Ramirez. Jocelyn Renee Vammer. Maximilian Philip Werner. Brian Edward Murphy. Christopher Carlos Galina. Navid Anvari Maj. Lisa Thomas. Rima Jamaluddin. Dania Anohiat. Courtney Alice Vaughn. Kelsey Ray Genesi. Jane Estelle Plinkta. Shannon Alana McNara. Sarah Lynn Torres. Hannah Michelle Hogan. Camille Bishop Leiden. Edgar F. Gomez. Daria Heller Tomsky. Marjan Lorenzo Limpen Salon. Desiree Morgan McSkimming. Jessica Marin Roland. Dr. Joy Gao. Alamdeep Kaur. Giselle Kamra Amsana Magzik. Yesenia Viramontes. Anne Elizabeth Frunk. Andrea Gutierrez. Alicia Denise McDaniel. Aaron Joseph Lagman. Dr. LaShonda Renee Jethro. Abdullah Ahmed Afuhad. Chenchun Liu. Miad Amen Al-Fakeh. Romelia Vendivel Martinez. Mireya Elizabeth Gonzalez Perez. Nadia Erika Becerra Castillo. Carlos Alejandro Herrera. Dr. Rochelle Renee Sai. Dr. Sunny Lee Sterling. Dr. Edna Ramona Escar Gonzalez. Dr. Roger Carr Lankett, Jr. Dr. Brooke H. Rakes. Dr. Bree Marie DuBrose. Dr. Christine May Mendoza. Dr. Marie Muang Lee Tirsch. Todd Michael Cope. Giancarlo Vallejo. Dr. Lisbeth Ganella Velasquez. Yusuf J. Abalul. Dima Michelle Sabah. Jacob Joseph Rojek. Dr. Hardrat Kaur. Amy Rose O'Connell. Megan Nicole Spencer. Odette Acosta. Itzel Fabriola Macara. Jennifer Marie Martirosian. Isabel Fang. Catherine Suzanne Olson. Joshua Kai Balaban. Samuel George Tatsuo Fisher. Alexander Vincent Allion. Roberto Garcia. David Enrique Diegues. Stephen Daniel White. Tobias Lopez. Frank Carrico. Anna Schlenker. Sarah K. Hull. Aaron Matthew Jorgas. Michael A. Short. Imam Khalid Anyezi. Alam Khalil Anyezi. Mashal Ahmed Asiri. Wasaif Hussein Al-Qahtani. Emily Christine Graup. Ghazal Bakani. Yusuf G. Arirez.
Luis Cortez de Kit. Alexander Jake Schmid. Ruben Gonzalez Fernandez. Roberto Gavalio. Barbara Corinne Rudd. Eric Michael Bodman. Jeffrey David Bouchard. Ernest G. Baluka. Amanda Lynn Larson. Ana Laura Lopez Gonzalez. Nasima Zirak. Magali Ambrosi. Marie Claire Steichler. John Thomas Williams. Kevin Michael Hale. Colby Rose Parker. Brian John Sunner. Maxwell Harrison Gleicher. Bridget Kelly Mundy. Natalie Soriano Calderon. Brooke Chanel Scott. Sarah Isabel Marie Leblanc Combier. Brittany Elizabeth Sawyers. Giselle Yadira Hernandez. Reem Albarak. Danielle Marie Bessler. Esteban Cruz. Chinyere Dike. Benita Annette Madison. Ryan Joseph Muscarella. Ryan M. Lawler. Autumn Jean Julian. Cody Christopher Allen. Liliana Eva Anna Hudson. Anais Marine Anne Cecile Winkler. Eamon T. O'Rourke. Jessica Icabellis. Pavan Pahang. Dr. Michael Angelo Negron. Star Aris Atisha. Hanifa Mutesi. Matthew J. Fong. Jerome B. Gamboa. Jason Makoa Sorum. Arash Shahi. Hamid Reza Saidi. Henok Danye. Jordan Caleb Alfonso Phillips. Giancarlo Jesus Coca. Travis Scott Beckwith. Ryan Toledo Cabusao. Vanessa Isabel Lara. Jason Sergio Hernandez. Sarah Awad Mohammed. Brandy Kaysen. Ali M. Al-Rumi. It's okay. Nuf M. Al-Sabah. Mitzi Bridget Guevara. Dr. Jeanette Lynn Deweese, summa cum laude. Dr. Celeste Lavinia Armenta, summa cum laude. Harold R. Tavis, Jr. Chi Nguyen. Christopher Castro Manaus. Paige Alexandra Harold. Rebecca Schwartz Lesberg. Marvin Janka. Alexander Petrenko. Osman J. Munoz. Ursin Togman. Ranisa Rose Cano. Alexandra Mariah Velasquez. Elaine Celebrado Denina Whipple. Gustavo Alexander Garcia.
USD's newest graduates, congratulations. Ms. Kimberly Amory Alicio, President of the Alumni Association, an alumna of the class of 1987, and parent of a class of 2021 graduate, will now welcome you, our newest graduates, to the ranks of USD's alum. Kim.
Thank you. Class of 2021, it is a pleasure to see you all here in person today. And I am so happy to officially welcome you to the University of San Diego Alumni Association. As a USD graduate, the wife of a graduate, and the proud mom of a member of the class of 2021, I know well that the Torero Network can bring you great professional and personal opportunities. And your involvement will make the network even stronger for those who follow in your footsteps, just as your fellow alumni have done for you. Hopefully, this ceremony is a good reminder that you will always have a home here at Acala Park as part of the USD family. The Alumni Association is excited to acknowledge your achievements, and we look forward to your active participation in the Torero Network. I look forward to seeing you at one of our many events held throughout the year, whether on Zoom or in person. Join us for our wine classic this July and at homecoming in October. And until then, remember, keep wearing your blue and white. Congratulations again to you, the newest members of the USD Alumni Association.
Thank you, Kim. Now I'm going to ask you to please stand and join in singing USD's Alma Mater, performed by Soledad Parra, member of the class of 2023.
Hail to you, Alma Mater. Hail to USD. We sing this song, our spirits high, with strength and loyalty. Hail to you, Alma Mater, home of the blue and white. You lead us onward in our lives by your guiding light. Honor and proud tradition, spirit in unity. Hail to you, our alma mater, USD.
Once again, congratulations to the class of 2021. Candidate marshals will dismiss each row of graduates to ensure that we continue to practice safe social distancing. Guests, please remain standing at your seats until the platform party, faculty, and all graduates have exited the field. The 62nd graduate commencement at the University of San Diego is now adjourned. Thank you so much for joining us today.